As we established before, an entity's score is related to its behavior and trustworthiness in the system. As such, the higher the score of an entity, the more it gains access to new roles with their own sets of responsibilities and their own attractive rewards. The roles in a proof of justice-based system can vary greatly based on the implementation. Indeed, much like the scoring system, proof of justice's roles are super flexible. New roles can be created, and existing default roles can be adjusted based on needs. The granting of new roles can vary greatly from one implementation to another. There are 5 types of role granting: automatic, determined, rotated, staking, and economy-based. Although 5 types are available, most implementations will either only use a combination of the automatic and determined role granting mechanisms, or a combination of the rotated and determined role granting mechanisms. The first type of role granting is called automatic role granting, which is the most common and grant a right to a role if the score of a given entity goes above a threshold. For example, if an entity has a global reliability score above a threshold equal to 50, then it would unlock the right to act as, let's say, a generator. To prevent stagnation, the threshold should be adjusted dynamically based on the score of the entities in the system. For example, if it is determined that only the top 30% of entities should be able to act as a generator, the threshold would be calculated dynamically to always meet that value. This type of role granting is especially used in implementations using a levels and experience system. The second type of role granting is called determined role granting, which requires a given entity to be determined as suitable for the role by one or more other entities. They will essentially assess whether the entity has the necessary skills or qualities for that position. Based on needs, this can be done using a decentralized voting mechanism, such as one similar to the rule-adding mechanism mentioned in a previous video. There may also be specific criteria that our entity has to meet in order to be approved, such as proving that it has relevant qualifications. For example, the code reviewer role from the rule-adding mechanism might have to solve a programming challenge generated and proposed by one or more entities in the system. The third type of role granting is called rotated role granting, which only allows entities to perform a given role up to a determined number of times in a row before needing to either wait a determined number of blocks or perform one or more actions, preventing stagnation and centralization of power. The entities can be rotated periodically according to different criteria, like every determined number of blocks or every block with certain Peterson values. The fourth type of role granting is called staking role granting, which requires an entity to put up a security deposit in order to be eligible for the role, the deposit being frozen for a determined period of time. If the entity does not fulfill its responsibilities or breaks the rules, it risks losing part or all of its deposit. This type of role granting is used to ensure that entities are more likely to act responsibly and in the best interest of the system, as they have something to lose if they don't. The fifth and final type of role granting is called economy-based role granting, which requires an entity to spend one or more assets in order to be eligible for the role. The type of assets can vary greatly based on the implementation. For example, in several implementations, the type of assets would be a portion of the score of the entity. In some implementations, the type of assets could be the blockchain's native coins. BB Inventions, high-tech research for curious minds.